Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Satisfactory. It has been a minute since we had an episode of Satisfactory. Part of that is because went on a trip with a group of friends, and I may have forgotten to record an episode prior to leaving to have auto upload, and then I further forgot to record, I believe, the week prior. So now we're about, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks without a Satisfactory episode. It's been a while. Anyway, in that time though, that I have been playing, so it hasn't gone without a few things. So there have been a few changes. Particularly, there has been Factorio Satisfactory 1.1 has released, so we're probably gonna have to update the title of the videos with that. Anyway, so some of the changes that have occurred are primarily we have elevators now. After how many years? But hey, I will take what I can get, and I'm sure a lot of you are also excited that we have elevators. Now, of course, there are a lot of things that I was kind of just exploring within our factory uh, while I was just working on a bunch of random tasks. One of them being all this spaghetti that we have. Like, we have this nice, more or less nice, and organized ore bus that feeds into the main smelting area. We do need to go ahead and upgrade all of the belts here, though, because we have since unlocked Conveyor Belt Mark V, which has 780 resources per minute. So I believe even... Let me see if it's this one. I think it might be like one of these. Oh, there we go. So even when they're overclocked, 300 ore per minute, these are able to handle that, but the pure nodes are 600 per minute, so we can't handle it on the tier 4. We have to handle it now. Or, yeah, we couldn't fully make use of pure nodes that are overclocked with tier 4 because tier 4 is only 480, I believe. Right? Yeah, 480. And then these are 780. So it's a 300 per minute boost. And then I believe Mark III miners, which we can get soon, are, if I'm not mistaken, I believe those are 1200, but I don't know if we can see that if we look over here. Let's see, milestone, leading edge. Yeah, the default is 240. Yeah, I think it's 1200 per minute on these. I could be wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, um, we also went ahead and just to kind of go over everything, because I'm not sure what you guys have seen and what you guys haven't. We have done the bauxite refinement that I remember doing a few episodes on. We got the hover pack, we got the logistics Mark V, and then I went ahead and got the hazmat suit because this is going to be in preparation for something we're going to be doing a little bit later. But I also got control system development, which means we're going to have to build. We're going to need to do sulfuric acid. We're going to make batteries, radio control units, supercomputers somewhere, and assembly director systems. We also now have a new machine called a blender. Not to be confused with the modeling software. And of course, we did unlock. Well, I guess we haven't unlocked it yet, but in tier 8 now, we have drones, nuclear power, advanced aluminum production, which is kind of crazy because it's like tier 7 you unlock it, and then in tier 8 it's like, hey, here's a better way of doing it, I guess. I'm not sure. It just looks like more stuff. So I don't know why it's called advanced aluminum production. Unless it's not necessarily we're producing more aluminum, but we're doing more things with the aluminum? I don't know. It just seems oddly named for what I'm seeing in here. Because it doesn't look like there's anything in here that's like, oh, you're getting more aluminum. Like, it just looks like alternate stuff. Anyway, leading edge production, which is that Mark III miner, and then particle enrichment. Nuclear pasta. That sounds absolutely delicious, as well as absolutely dangerous. But of course, we're going to get into those things. Wow, those are very expensive. Anyway, so right now I have the nuclear power marked off, but we don't have, I believe it's supercomputers there. So we're going to have to kind of work on that. But anyway, so some of the spaghetti, as you can see, like there it's nice, but then it like veers off here, and then this seems kind of awkward, and that hasn't been cleaned up in a while, and those belts were never taken care of, and the coal plant over there honestly could use a rework. And then we have like odds and ends like this, but now that we have the hover pack, we don't need it, and more importantly, we have elevators. Oh, I see a piece we need to fix. I kind of want to add a little bit more detail to some of these flat sections, but I'll worry about that later. But yeah, so my goal, I think, at some point is to go through and kind of clean up some of these belts, and I was kind of in the process of some of that. But let's take a look on the inside. So I did redo the front just a little bit. Part of that is because I had to move this over, because before it was here, but I put in an elevator. Because I was debating, do I put the elevator on the outside of the building and then add it in, kind of like how, if anybody's ever been in like an older style building where they introduce an elevator for like ADA compliance, they typically put it on the outside of the building, or they put it in a location that it doesn't seem like it was built with the building in mind, sort of thing. And then of course I built the path down here. A lot of these paths I've built, like this bridge for instance, is pretty redundant. We haven't really needed it in a long time. However, I like having it just in the off chance, you know, I run out of fuel or something, or we die and we don't have our hover pack or anything on us. Just makes it a little bit easier so that way we can actually get around. Anyway, they also introduced these new shelves, and the containers actually snap to the shelf, so you don't have to worry about trying to like place things like this. It just snaps to it. So there are 4 locations on it. And it looks like, yeah, you can go ahead and actually stack it some more. So you can kind of make a Costco, if you will, which is kind of what I think of this facility is, at least on the left-hand side. We have a lot of these items, but I see some of them are out. I think something might be broken upstairs, but I'll look into that later. And then, so I move this down, but it all still functions the same, so we can introduce more of these as needed. The MAM moved over slightly. I think that's everything in here. So how the elevators work is you can add floor stops, and what's really nice is it's not like, oh, it can only be placed here or here. You can adjust it by this 1 meter wall height all the way up. So it's really flexible. You can also rename it, and then you can go in and you can set names. You can also set colors for the symbols and stuff. And there's also elevator music, which is awesome. Nice little touch. So then we can go all the way up to the logistical floor. And what's nice is, notice the doors, you can rotate them on all 4 sides. So you're not set in having it be one way or the other. Now here I did have to put a second one because there is a train station right above us, and this floor does jet out 1 tile, so that is why this one also is just not in line with that one. But it works basically the same way, and then we can go up. Normally they're named based on how high up they are from the previous one, but otherwise they work pretty much the same way. Now we also went ahead, I went around and gathered up some more somber sloops so we could go ahead and make the alien power augmenter. I have really no idea how this thing works, other than that it looks like it generates 500 megawatts of static power, or it takes in 500 megawatts of static power and circuit boosts in an amount. I'm not really sure how this is working, if it's using 500 or if it's generating 500. Because is it generating 500 and then on top of that generating an additional 400? I don't know. Power's being generated. We have more than enough for what we need. However, notice, we do not have nearly enough if we have max consumption. So that is partially why we're going to be doing nuclear power shortly. So this area of the factory is a bit of a squirrely mess. I do think we're probably going to invest some time to clean this all up. I think we're going to straighten out a lot of these runs, because like right now we have some that are like veering off. Then we're just going to kind of put everything in line here. I know it doesn't fully fit in line here, so we'll probably keep the 45 onto this, but we're going to probably do something about it. And then this is going to build. That is one thing, is we're not really building on the world grid. Like, I believe these things are on the world grid, right? No, these are local grids. Okay, so that is one thing. I think we talked about it a while ago when we were initially building these, is you have the world grids. So like for instance, if you hold like left control or snap mode, it's snapping right now to the world grid. So if you look at the compass on the top, we are aligned perfectly with east in this direction. And then it snaps to it. However, here we are snapped to a local grid. So notice we are not really facing any cardinal direction. Like we're kind of facing north, but true north is there. But really we're facing this direction. And part of that is because there's a little river here that, well, you really don't even see anymore. Because we've built this mega complex and this mega complex over there to the left. So then we have these two large facilities. God, really, we have this like very narrow subcity. Not even subcity, but like, I don't know, sub walkway in here. I don't know. It's one of those like really narrow pathways where it's like if you're building and you're just like, whoa, kind of a little hidden place. But anyway, again, walkway that really does nothing, but I like it because, you know, it kind of adds some character, and I like the little conveyor belts and stuff. This is one area I do want to spend a little bit of time at some point cleaning up and making it look a little bit nicer. I mean, this is fine. However, there is a bit of an issue with belts in there. I don't know if you guys remember seeing a lot of the issues in there, but oh, there we go. It is a literal rat's nest here. Now, this is partially what logistical floors are for, to hide a lot of the rats, the rat nest in other items. Because like on this side, for instance, fairly clean, not a lot of issue. But there's also really nothing over here being stored just yet, only a few things in the back. But also at the same time, there's only so many things you can do without causing issues. It does become a bit of a logistical nightmare if you ever want to go through and upgrade any of these belts or like try to manage things. And this whole corner is just an absolute nightmare. But at least exteriorly, I do want to... I've kind of tried cleaning it up a little bit by making this run go from there to there, because before it was over a little bit. For the most part, these are all pretty standard. Like, we have two more that we can add there, but we'll look at managing it a little bit more. And then out here, I want to manage down into this section a little bit better, because the way it is now is it's not great. Initially I was like, oh, we'll put it all like this, but I think what we're going to do is this whole section is going to get reworked at some point, which is kind of the name of the game. Satisfactory is very much a game where you alter your builds frequently, I think, as well as your factories, which is kind of what we did here. So oh, excuse me, I swallowed and went down the wrong pipe. Because initially this is kind of like our lobby area, which is where we were storing a lot of the components for steel and things, which at some point, honestly, we'll probably just get rid of most of this and move it over there. Or we might even just sink a lot of it. Anyway, so like on this floor we have, you know, an observation deck. We can see a lot of the steel production we have. There is open space on these floors, but realistically, I probably won't ever end up actually using this space for anything. I might, but as of right now, I don't have plans for it. But we'll see. I might eventually rework this whole floor, as well as other floors, especially as we get new technologies and alternate recipes. One of the new things they've added is conveyor wall holes. I can't believe that's another thing. Like, a lot of the things in this update are really nice quality of life things, but it's like, wow, we've only now just got this? Like, before there were the walls that had holes in them, but we could never have independent holes in them. We could also, you know, just snap it through the wall, and then it looks weird. But I think this function's really great. This was one of the runs we straightened out, and then up here, this is also a massive rat's nest. Honestly, these are the types of things and bases that it's like, they're hidden. You probably never see them. You know they exist, but usually instead of looking at this, a lot of the times you're going to be shown really nice looking things like buildings, which this building is very much a work in progress, and other items. But this is the output for a lot of that stuff down below, and we again need to just clean a lot of it up. But anyway, so I had to move a lot of this to just kind of route on top of itself here, so that way we could A, have an elevator in this building, because there was basically nowhere else I could put the elevator with all of the belts that were running here. Because initially I was thinking, oh, I'll put it here, because a lot of these production floors, this tile is clear. But a lot of the logistics floors, which, if we go here, it's covered in belt. And unfortunately, although the belt and the elevator can merge together, when a player is in the elevator, the player hits these because these are solid to the player. So you're not really in independent space when you're in the elevator, which kind of sucks for that. So you do have to plan around it. So any existing builds that you might not have planned to have an elevator and instead had like a staircase, kind of an issue now. But again, I made sure that the player could access this without flying or demolishing a wall, so they could still access this here. We'll probably, again, like I said, at some point I am going to rework probably this whole right here and this whole kind of enclave. And then you can just hit the call button. I don't know where the elevator currently is. I also haven't gone through and named any of these floors in this building. I recently just finished it. And so then the player can go all the way up. Nice elevator music. So this is currently the highest point. So, one of the things that I've been working on in anticipation for working on Phase 4, as well as getting new items, is building out this building. So that actually is going to move and disappear, because that is the leftovers from, if we go here, is this corner is basically where we have the least amount of stuff, and we can kind of see all the different slices. So down here, so this is the highest completed floor. There are, I think, 2 more floors below it, 1 or 2 more floors below us. At least over there. Over here, I believe this is above water? Yeah. So we have some space here that we can utilize. And then on the logistical side, there's a ton of space right here that we can route stuff. So this side of the logistics floor may or may not end up actually getting used. But there's a lot of spaghetti down there. So I'll see if we can maybe spread some of it out this way to ease it. And then, of course, on this floor, I don't continue it until there's a reason to continue it. So, like, I would probably continue it to about here, because there's this section of the logistics floor is occupied, just so it makes it easier for planning and building, like before you seal it up. Kind of like if you've ever seen drywall being put up. Behind it, you usually see all the studs, insulation, wires, stuff like that. This, I believe, yeah, because we were having that rubber issue for a while, so we could probably get rid of that now. And then we'll probably extend this well, we'll probably wait, because this floor will be built as it is. And then this floor I was just extending. There's nothing currently on this floor, but it was just so that way we could kind of have an idea. And there is, of course, going to be a logistics floor here. It's just going to be there. Or however low it actually needs to be. I can't remember. Are they at the glass height? Yeah, it's at the glass height. I'm like, it looked lower. Yeah, so there's going to be a logistics floor here to help manage this. And then lastly, you probably have noticed that the top floor is fully encased. And then the reason this side is all orange is because this is the mountain side, which can't really see anything. And then this, which, to be fair, would just put you about here where you're looking at rock. We could have walled all this off as well to look like that, but I felt like having it at least on one side kind of helped force the perspective. And at least, because also from the outside, the exterior, it looks pretty good. I do want to rework the Caterium building right there, because that building has not been touched in weeks, months, honestly. So this floor is probably where we're going to do a lot of the newer items. However, I do want to spread some of these things out, because I don't necessarily want just like one massive building to house everything, which is kind of what we have going on right now. And then that building over there, I believe those top 2 floors here, yep, they're both empty. And then we're probably going to have 1, maybe 2 more floors, because I want a train to inevitably go in, or have a station there to drop things off. So anyway, you've probably seen we have some track as well as some trains going on over here, and that isn't by accident, because as you can see, our mall building here is kind of getting a bit congested. It's a bit full, at least a bit full for my liking. Right now we have iron ingots, copper ingots, and then plastic and rubber coming in on this train. So that's really only 3 items. Now I could maybe squeeze one more. If I rerouted some things up here, I could maybe get 4 trains up here total. Because right now this is just my personal train that I've been using to go around and do building at the aluminum mine and stuff. However, the more I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, so we have these trains, which I'm probably going to eventually rework and change them out a little bit. Because what I'm thinking is this large building is going to have a lot of intake. Because if we do end up spreading things out, I want to kind of future-proof ourselves a little bit with that. Because if we end up building more stuff, there's not too much more, at least I don't think there is too much more, in terms of items that we're going to be producing at other locations. Because if we look at the map, right now we have stuff being produced here, right? So we have our main base where we're at right now. We have smelting kind of over here to the right. We have aluminum and other items down here, and then we have oil, rubber, and other stuff way over here. There, of course, is the whole rest of this map, which we have not really explored. So I think what we're going to do in the next few episodes is I think we are going to set up a map-wide rail system. The reason for that is because A, I want to fully explore the map, or a good chunk of it I want to explore, at least by train. Because, like, obviously, we're not going to be able to explore this rocky section up here with a train. We can get off the train and go explore it on foot, but we're not going to be able to do that on a train, so to speak. So I want to build a rail system all around the map, so we can at least go on the full exterior of the map. From there, I then want to identify possible locations for things such as, we need a location for nuclear power. That is something that is going to happen. Now, I know I've seen a lot of people on like Reddit and stuff build, like up here in the north, kind of where we have our oil, off over here into the water, because a lot of this is buildable. Now, I forget where the border for building ends, but at least right here, between like these islands and like north of this, we could probably build a decently sized platform. I've also seen what a lot of people do, especially here where there's not a whole lot up in the sky, is you just build a big platform up in the sky. Now, sure, that works. It functions. It's very function over form. I don't like that style of building. I like building buildings, and I'm slowly improving it, making buildings look half decent instead of giant blocks. But we're going to need somewhere for the nuclear power to go. So I would like to find somewhere cool. I know some people build down here in this crater that we stumbled across. I've also seen some people do their nuclear power over here to the right. I'm not sure where we're going to put ours. We might go and put it over here into this area. I just want to see what is around the map. Now, I know from from when I played with a couple of my friends, we ended up building, I think it was somewhere over here is where we ended up spawning, and we did like the northern woods spawn, so I think that's somewhere over this way. And then when I played way back in the day, the like beginner starting area somewhere over here to the southwest. So there's some locations that we could probably put our nuclear power. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure where we're going to put it. But I would also like to just explore the map and to have things around the map, because sure, I could just build everything here. But part of it too is I want to have some scale with things. Like I want to utilize the resources in the map a little bit and kind of scale up our factory to be not as big as we can make it, but fairly large. And part of that is going to mean we are going to have to put things in different areas so we don't lag our game. Because as we have a ton of things coming in and out, that is going to, of course, drop our performance. And I don't want to have everything in the game up in this region cause a lot of lag. So we're going to try to spread some things out. So like this furnace area is really only for what's up here, or really what's in this area of the map. And then we'll have probably another smelting zone, probably somewhere over here, and then probably even a third or even a fourth one, depending on our needs. So that's kind of where I'm at. So what I'm thinking over the next couple episodes, as well as some of the downtime I have in between the episodes, is I think we're going to work on reworking what we currently have, as well as expanding a plan for building out our platforms. Now, we do have a decent design for it, But I think one of the things I would like to improve is my junctions. So for instance, this, I want to improve this a little bit, make it look a little bit less magical and floating. I also want to go through and put in supports for all of this because this whole thing is basically floating, which it can. There's no physics that force it to not float. I want to kind of rework this a little bit. I like the coal power. I like the look of it. But I do want to go through and upgrade the pipes as well as... Because now that we have Mark II, we don't need as many water pipes coming over here. And I'd also like to make this look a little bit nicer. This coal thing, whatever, however you want to define it. Oh, we're out of power range. And then I'd also like to continue this. I really like the exterior of this building. I like that it looks very cold and very industrial, but I would like to add some more color because I notice on this side there's not as much orange. Like there's only a little teeny bit on the bottom. Over here it wasn't as noticeable for a while because I was like, oh, well, I have this orange, so usually when I'm looking over here, I'm like, oh, well, I see color, but I don't see it really over here. And I kind of see it on the end cap over here. Because if we go over here, if we have windows, and we can see it, and we're like, oh, okay, it looks decent, but over there, it does look fairly cold. So I'm going to try to figure out some ways we can introduce some color into this. I know we can dye the concrete, which is kind of what I was doing over there, but I have no idea really how to do it and make it look good. And I also have this gap, which it exists. But otherwise, that's kind of the progress that we've made in the time off that we've had. And then as for these trains, I have 5 of them, 5 hubs. And what I'm thinking is, and they're designed for 131 trains, omnidirectional. Even though we don't technically need omnidirectional trains, I could if I wanted to. I could squeeze 4 of these things. Freight platforms. I might look into it a little bit more just to see like what the optimal train setup is for like stations. Because I don't know if it's optimal to just do one fours, or if it's something where it's like, oh, you should do a 2-3 train or something. I'll look into it. Or if you guys have any comments or suggestions about it, let me know down below before we get too far into it. But basically, the idea is that the trains can come in here. I gotta make sure they can fit through all this and stuff. But they can come in, drop off their 3 different items, and I know we can configure these, I believe, to do, I think it's there, I think it's up here somewhere. Something other. But basically you can have it connected so that, or on the train, I think is where you do it, where they only drop off specific items, because then what I can do is I can have a train go to like three or 4 different places, or each train car could even have 2 items, and it would only drop off item X here and then item Y somewhere else. But basically we're going to have potentially up to 5 trains, 3 items a piece, 15 items is what we could do here. Possibly more. Because I suppose we could do a Omni Splitter and then have overflow into shredders down below or something, or above, maybe? Probably below. But basically, that way a train comes in, train then leaves the building. Well, these 3 momentarily leave the building, come back into the building, and then probably have this. I haven't really thought where this is going to go from here, but I'm thinking it's going to go somewhere yonder and somewhere over here. And then over this section, we'll probably handle logistics of where the items are going within the base. But I suppose there's not... I don't think there's enough room to put 3 more. Because then I guess I could try to squeeze these 3 into this section and then have it all leave that way. I don't know. I'll have to figure out how to mess with it. And then of course we have this floor up here, which I don't know what it's going to be up here, but I remember kind of planning, and I think we talked about it for a little while, is designing it so that the building here is going to probably rival the height of these. I don't really know what the height limit is for building. I would assume fairly high. But that's kind of the plan, is we're going to finish up this building a little bit more, plan for nuclear power, expand the highway system, or the rail network, because I know when we were branching off, we just did, and if we look here, we did just the rails so that we didn't have the actual highway deck, because we don't really need it for everything. And I also want to probably upgrade these guys from the tractors to the are they tractors? What are they? Yeah, they are tractors. Upgrade them from the tractors to the trucks, because then they have more stuff that they can have, basically. Because then we actually might not need whatchamacallit. We might not need a train here. It just depends on what items we end up producing in that satellite building. But yeah, so that's kind of the plan. Is I want to go through, clean up a bunch of the stuff, upgrade belts and whatnot. Probably maintain some of our current stuff. I would like to probably upgrade this logistical nightmare that we have here. And maybe even fix some of the spaghetti that's in that building. But honestly, it's a case of, if it's not broke, don't fix it, I guess. But we'll see. And then, of course, I have this terrible thing going on that needs to not exist, but it functions. But yeah, so those are just some of the things that we're going to work on fixing. Although, now that we have these things, can they go through the pillar? No. I was going to say, if they go through the pillar, that'd be awesome, because that would, like, make things at least look half decent. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you guys did, you guys know what to do. Smash that like button if you haven't done so already. Consider smashing the subscribe button, as it really helps out the channel. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, tips, tricks, or anything else, definitely leave that down below. And yeah, I think I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. I will definitely make sure not to forget recording Satisfactory. Don't worry, we are still playing it. It took a couple weeks and some stuff. But yeah, see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. Peace out.